To Eric McGee, a massive thank you for becoming a cabin crew member once again, and this is also a member requested video. The Airbus A380 during the pandemic was undoubtedly one of the most significant casualties in the industry, with airlines worldwide pulling the plug on the aircraft, no longer determining a use for the said plane. In the process, we saw either airlines remove all the types, keep just a handful, or ground them. China Southern is an operator of the A380, and despite them parking the aircraft during the pandemic, they did keep a handful of the Super Jumbo in their operations for potential usage. However, at the beginning of this calendar year, the decision was made that by year's end, they'd remove all remaining A380s. And now the time has come, with flight data indicating that the plane is winding up its operations as it makes its final few visits to airports around the world, soon to be replaced by China Southern's A350 on some scheduled services. At its peak and at the time, the Airbus A380 was very much, according to many, an excellent solution for China Southern and their rising market demand in China. The high capacity of the aircraft meant that the airline had routes that could hypothetically fill the plane, and even just on their domestic network. On top of that, they could also explore utilizing the A380 on their international services, as this made them one of the unique carriers in the global aviation industry that could have seen tremendous benefits from flying the type, and I emphasize could have. As we know, the A380 is ultimately an aircraft that was very similar to the 747-8 in that it only appealed to specific customers with a very specific business model, and demand levels needed to be adequate enough to sustain a double-decker plane for the long term. However, for China Southern, operating the aircraft wouldn't pan out exactly how they may have first initially envisaged, with many issues, losses, and much more encountered. For China Southern, despite all the hype, talk, and overall discussion surrounding them acquiring the A380 back in the day and the potential positive repercussions they could see, well, that didn't really take place. They never truly got the A380 right, you could probably say, from the identity of the plane, to the cabin, and to even the routes that it was flying on. It was always a bit of a mismatch, and the airline didn't ultimately make the most, potentially, of the world's largest passenger plane. Or maybe the expectations were too high, and the experience China Southern had really highlighted the problems that the A380 had as an aircraft itself, which is why so many airlines avoided purchasing the plane and went for smaller aircraft that obviously were more efficient, but maybe lacked in the capacity sense. These reasons that I mentioned are vital to the decision to retire the type and see its final few services now. However, in addition to that, it would be an error of me not to mention the impact that the pandemic has had on China, and naturally China Southern Airlines. With restrictions only easing now, but still consistently in place, airlines have genuinely struggled to be able to rebound and garner enough demand to fill their small aircraft, let alone the capabilities that the A380 has, and it's going to be a while before this market recovers. So, removing the A380 saves the airline over time, and yes, is a decision that is upsetting overall to see another airline remove a 4-engine plane, but for them, they're going to see great benefits, and there's no point retaining an aircraft in the hope that demand will return, when of course it's an aircraft that you are already having issues operating with, even before the pandemic. What are your thoughts on the decision, not only by China Southern to retire the type, but obviously that they are winding down operations there? You can let me know down below in the comments. Thanks very much for your support. It is greatly appreciated. Do take care and be safe. A massive thank you again to all my cabin crew members who continue to support the channel on a monthly basis, and I will see you next time.